To me, a swing rhythm almost sounds a little like something is attracting you. Hey everyone, my name is Christoph Jakob. I'm a music composer for video games. We've already looked at Ska-Blam and Three-Horn Circus by the newly added band Yoko and the Gold Bazookas. So you probably know which tune we're going to talk about today. Angel Island from Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. Let's go! Hold on. We're not listening to this track today? Oh, thank goodness. Let's take a look at the one newly added Splatoon 3 multiplayer track that's still missing, Rockagilly Blues. Double time. Oh, not really double time. Rockagilly Blues is all about rhythm. Sure, it does have nice melodic ideas as well, which I'm gonna talk about in a moment. But immediately, the thing that caught my interest the most are two specific rhythmic elements, which seem to be a major ingredient throughout this entire piece of music. Let's listen to the short intro segment again. Notice how every single beat in the intro is focusing on a so-called offbeat. As a guitarist and bassist, I'm always tempted to just call these upstrokes. And I'll show you why. There seems to be quite a strong focus on these weaker beats. And there are actually entire music genres where this is the case. One of them is obviously ska, which shouldn't be too surprising considering that Yoko and the Gold Bazookas is supposed to be a ska band. You also hear this obsession over offbeat rhythms in funk music a lot. In funk music, it's common to have a very strong downbeat on the one, and everything else, everything you do in between, is pretty much up to you. The second rhythmic element is something that, to my own surprise, I've never even had to mention in any of my videos so far, and that is swing. Rockagilly Blues, if I'm not mistaken, is the very first Splatoon multiplayer track that is based on a swing rhythm. Let me quickly try to explain the difference between a normal rhythm and a swing rhythm. Listen to these two quick examples of essentially the same rhythmic idea. A swing type of rhythm often tends to be quite fast-paced. In the case of our song here, Rockagilly Blues, it's actually really fast-paced. And it sounds quite dancey too. To me, a swing rhythm almost sounds a little like something is attracting you. You're actively being pulled towards something. And the focus on offbeats just emphasizes this feeling. One little melodic element, or more like harmonic element, that I'd like to point out before we move on, is what's happening in the electric guitar here, which pretty much functions as a transition between the first and the second half of the intro. It's actually playing 4 diminished chords in a row, each of these chords being 3 high steps. Each of these 3 chords. Now I have to laugh. Oh, no. Each of these chords being 3 half steps higher than the previous one. Diminished chords are neither major nor minor. They are certainly closer to minor chords because they also include the flat 3, which is the note that's typical for minor chords. But in a diminished chord, there is no 5. Instead, we have a flat 5. So the distance between the first and the second note, as well as the distance between the second and the third note, are exactly the same. Diminished chords don't feel resolved at all. They always feel like there's still something to come. So your name is Redshirt Chris, right? First name Redshirt, last name Chris. Alright. I need you to sign here and then... Double time. Oh, not really double time. This song is rhythmically so interesting. Let's talk about why the song is called Rockagilly Blues and not Rockagilly Swing or Rockagilly Funk. The chords that are being used here are really as simple and straightforward as they can get. And it's not just the chords themselves, it's the entire structure of the song that is actually super simple and straightforward, just like blues music. So far, excluding the diminished chords of the intro, all the chords that are being used here are A, or more like A minor probably, D major and E major. In the case of A minor, the bass is actually playing both the minor and the major third. I've talked about that in quite a bunch of videos by now. The Splatoon composers really love to include both the minor and the major third. The chord progression goes like this. What else is typical for blues music that is also prominent in Rockagilly Blues? Well, so-called blues notes or blue notes appear all over the tune. Let's compare a minor scale with a blues scale, and you will probably know which notes I'm talking about here. The first time one of them appeared was actually in the intro. It's these slightly odd blue notes which give blues music its characteristic charm and flavor. Also, I swear that there's a name for the rhythm in the short segment before the next part. If you happen to know if there's a name for this specific rhythm, please let me know in the comments below. This sounds familiar. Somewhat. The climax section here actually reminds me of clickbait. To an extent, the song is breaking out of its blues shape for the first time, and instead of only changing between A minor, D major and E major, the tune is introducing some more chords. More specifically, the move from A minor to C major to D major just reminds me of clickbait a little, because this very movement also appears in the climax section of clickbait. I mean, this could be a little far-fetched maybe, but we all know that the composers of the Splatoon games put a lot of thought and effort into anything they touch. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this was a very intentional choice. That being said, there's actually not much else that I can say about this section, so let's move on. Oh, this nice guitar riff again. We really gotta talk about the rhythm. I love this band so much. My favorite part about this final section is actually the electric guitar. It's a bit of a shame that it's so quiet in the mix. You can barely figure out what exactly is going on there. I try to play what I think is going on there. Also, what a nice way to loop this tune. This somewhat chromatic run first down and then up different chords, just to end the entire section on a diminished chord, which leads to maximum tension before resolving back to A minor. Resolving a diminished chord often tends to feel bombastic and just super satisfying. I love this tune so much. I love this new band so much. Honestly, I think Yoko and the Gold Bazookas might be my favorite band in Splatoon 3. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Consider following me on Twitter, join my Discord server, or check out my new Splatoon-inspired album Splash 2. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.